Hello everybody, welcome to today's lesson. Let's go ahead and go over today's lesson objective. So today we will name decimal fractions in expanded notation, unit form, and word form by applying place value reasoning. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what is expanded notation. So expanded notation is an expression showing the specific place value of each digit by multiplying each digit by its place value. We're going to go into this in just a little bit, but if we look at our example right here, we have 294. We have 2 times 100. We have 9 times 10, or 9 sets of 10. And then we have 4 times 1, or 4 sets of 1. Okay, let's go into what is unit form. So unit form is a way of showing a number using its individual parts, like tens and ones. It helps us see the different groups that make up the number. So over here we have 617. So in unit form we have 6 hundreds, 110, and 4 ones. All right, one vocabulary word that I forgot to go over, or two of them. One is standard form, and this is how we usually see our numbers. Like 617 is how we usually see a number. We represent our number with digits. And word form is when we write out our words. So instead of digits, we use words to express that number. All right. Let's get into our problems. So the first thing we're going to do is represent 1,000. So first, let's look at it in standard form. So I put a place value chart here to kind of help us out. So we have 1,000th. So we have our thousands place right here. I abbreviated them to make it a little bit less to write, and so it could all fit in here. But we have 1,000. So I'm going to go ahead and put down 1,000th over here. I have 0 hundredths, 0 tens, and 0 ones. So I can write this in standard form in two different ways. One is by 0.001 to represent 1,000th, or I could write as 1 over 1,000 to represent it as a fraction. All right, then in unit form, I'm going to write how many thousands I have, and then write the word thousands to show that's how many units of thousands I have. Now, expanded form, we have to show how many copies we have of everything, right? So over here, I have 1,000th, right? That's the place value we're looking for, our thousands. And I have 1 copy of 1,000. So in expanded form, I could write it as 1 times 1,000. This is one way of doing it with fractions, or I can write it as 1 times 0.001, because I have my tenths, hundredths, thousands. These are both different ways that I can write it as in expanded form, and then we put parentheses around each place value to kind of mark as we go along. Okay, let's go to our next example. So the next thing we're going to do is represent 13,000. So let's represent in standard form. We put all of our digits in the place value chart. So in standard form, I can write this number as 0.013 or 13,000, or I can write it as 13 over 1,000 to represent it as a fraction. That's standard form. In unit form, I can do this in two ways. I can either say I have 13,000s because I can take this 100th and change them into 10,000s. So then I have 10 plus 3, which is going to give me 13,000s. So I can either say I have 13,000s, or I have 100th and 3,000, or 100th 3,000s. That's how we write it in unit form. Now in expanded form, I'm going to look at this place value chart right here. I'm actually going to exit that out. I'm going to look at this place value chart right here, and I'm going to start with where I see digits. The zeros we don't have to worry about because we don't have any units in that digit. But let's go ahead and look at hundredths. So I have 100th, so I have 1 copy of 100th. I'm going to represent it as a fraction. Plus 3 copies of 1,000th. If I wanted, let's go on to our next example. This time I represented our word in word form, our number in word form, so I'm using words instead of digits. So we're going to represent 400 and 4,000s. So here's my place value chart. I already filled in all of our numbers. So we have 400, 0 10, 0 1s, 0 tenths, 0 hundreds, and 4,000s. So as in standard form, I will write this as 400, put my decimal point over here. That's how I would write this in standard form. Now, if I were to write this number in unit form, I have 400s, as we see here on our place value chart, and 4,000s. Have that right over here. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that we have the word and. And tells us that we have a decimal. So I have 400 and 4,000. So anytime we see and, that means that we need to put a decimal there. That's where we put our decimal, and now we're moving into our decimal fraction portion. So we have 400 and 4,000. Now, how would I express this in expanded form? So I have 4 copies of 100 plus 4 copies of 1,000. Today. So now I'm going to go ahead and represent 400 4,000s. So I put this in my standard form, or place value chart, I'm sorry. Now, one thing I want you to notice, there is no and here like we had in the last one. It's not 400 and 4,000, it's 400 4,000s. So what this is telling me is I would have to look at just this section right here because we're not going into our whole numbers. There's no and. It's telling us we only have thousands. We're in this family. So I have 400 4,000s, which written out is going to be 4 tenths, 0 hundredths, and 4,000s. So in standard form, I write this as 0 because I don't have any whole numbers. 4, 0, 4. So I have 404 thousandths. In unit form, I could write this as 404 thousandths, or I could write it as 4 tenths, because I have my 4 tenths, 4 thousandths, because I have my 4 thousandths. In expanded form, we can write this as 4, ooh, that looks kind of like a 1, but that's a 4. So 4 copies of 1/10 plus, we're going to close that parenthesis right there, 4 copies of 1,000th. And I could also write this as decimals, so that would be 4 copies of 1/10 plus 4 copies of 1,000th. Sorry guys, I know my pen's really slow at writing. I gotta get myself a better pen, I think. All right, there we go. So here is our representation of 400 4,000ths in standard form, unit form, and expanded form, and also word form here at the top. All right, let's go over today's lesson objective. So today we will name decimal fractions in expanded form, unit form, and word form by applying place value reasoning. Thank you everyone for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everybody. Have a great day.